welcome to Coffee Talk. My name is Steven, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about how to properly make a French press and different grinds of coffee. I was born and raised in Brazil. Here's some Brazilian coffee that I have for us today, Três Corações Extra Forte. And in Brazil, they use primarily pour-over coffee. So to make your cafezinho, you would use something like this. You would put in however much coffee you want, and the whole nation of Brazil, they just pour coffee over it. Some of them use large, like, sieve sock kind of things. So growing up, I had really strong, rich Brazilian coffee. So when I came to the US in 2007 for university, a lot of what was in the coffee pot was kind of subpar, and I was looking for something with a little more kick to it. And that's when I began to experiment with French press. This is a French press. And to properly make a French press, you're going to need a different kind of coffee grind than your average either coffee pot or even espresso. So actually, if you want to purchase beans of any kind, you should be able to go to any coffee store and say, hey, can you grind this for on a very coarse grind for a French press, and they'd be able to do so. The drip coffee is like a medium grind, and espresso, like this, with which we make lattes, cappuccinos, and frappes, is going to be the finest grind that most coffee shops can make. So for this purpose, I have brought a 1 liter French press. I have ground some of our Black Hills Gold to a very coarse grind to make this pot of French press coffee, and it's going to be 18 grams to every 500 milliliters. So I have 36 grams in there. Pour it all into the French press pot, and then you're going to add the hot water to it. Almost completely to the top. And then you're going to fasten this little strainer sieve that's going to actually drag the coffee beans eventually through the hot water after it steeps and produce a really good cup of coffee. You're going to let it sit there. The experts say between 2 and 4 minutes. As you get familiar with your French press, you'll be able to spend more or less time to your own taste. The Brazilian in me wants me to leave it for 4 minutes, but I won't do that to you. You let it sit for 2 minutes. The word French press, it actually comes from the French word cafetier à piston, which means cafetier, which literally means the coffee maker with a piston. And so they took it from piston and made it just French press because we were a little bit lazy with the language there. It's also been called a coffee plunger, but since I'm not a plumber, I just choose to call it a French press because plunger just sounds gross. Who knows what's in that coffee? So we're going to let it steep for about 2 to 4 minutes, and then after it's steeped for a little bit, we're going to push it through slowly. Again, the speed at which you push the lever down is going to determine the richness and flavor of the coffee that you end up with in your cup. So therefore, if you want to let it steep for a while and then just zip it through, that's one method. Some people will let it steep and then push an inch every 30 seconds. And so the coffee, the coarse ground coffee is dragged all the way through the hot water. So that's it for a little bit. The nice thing about French press is if you're a health nut, you can also make teas and drag tea leaves through the sieve and make it the exact same way and have a healthier organic drink if coffee isn't your thing. But they're actually pretty versatile and they're really fun to use. And a gentle push should just get it all just right. The way it ought to be. The French press actually became popularized in the 20s by New Zealand and Australian cattle drivers and frontiersmen, and they began to just not need an entire pot, but just a couple cups here and there. I find the same thing. If I don't have time, I just pour one of these, grab a couple of cups, and it's ready to go very quickly. I don't need to waste coffee with a large brew pot. So, and there it is. My cup worked out.